Back in 1991, when I was 15 years old, I applied for work experience at Central FM in Stirling. I was meant to be there for a week and I stayed for 10 years as a broadcaster. Those were golden days of Scottish local radio, shaped by stations like Central or Radio Forth or Radio Clyde, by familiar voices, great music and genuinely local news. When a winter storm hit, we tuned in to hear what schools would be closed. We rallied behind Cash for Kids and other campaigns that defined that era. A few years later, I began writing for the Stirling Observer, and I can still picture the newsroom buzzing with reporters, sub-editors, photographers, and the sense of a team that knew its community inside out. Then came the World Wide Web. None of us realised how profoundly it would change everything. When I started at Central FM, I had 17 radio stations to choose from. Today, my teenage children can access almost any station on earth, that is, if they choose to listen to radio at all. They consume radio in ways that would have been unimaginable to me as a teenager. Chair, I start with these reflections because they remind us that change in the media landscape is not new. What is new is the speed and scale of the disruption we now face, and the reality that the future of local journalism is genuinely at risk if we choose not to protect it. The consolidation of power amongst the world's tech giants and the unprecedented influence they hold over what information we see is deeply troubling. They extract extraordinary profits, while governments and communities are left to face the democratic and social consequences of their decisions. The Lord's Future of News report warned this: the period of having informed citizens with a shared understanding of facts is not inevitable and may not endure. They are right. Recent legislation has helped. The Media Act gives broadcasters clarity. The Digital Market Act begins to address imbalances between publishers and platforms. The Online Safety Act is a great first step, but it will need constant attention to ensure it remains up to the task. But it is clear that much more will be required. We may need better legislation to ensure that local journalism has a fighting chance in a world being reshaped by AI. AI is already challenging how people access news, and too often it does so by scraping journalists' work without permission, payment or attribution. By serving up instant summaries of that material, AI risks becoming the main gateway between readers and local information, using content it did not create and preventing those who did create it from earning a living or building the trusted relationships that sustain local reporting. One of the biggest missteps we made at the start of the social media or the smartphone age was to blindly follow the tech companies into the brave new digital future they were creating without proper oversight or guardrails. Let us not make that same mistake with AI. The upcoming BBC Charter renewal is a real opportunity to look again at how the BBC can support rather than compete with local news. The BBC is a vital institution, and the Local Democracy Reporting Services shows the good it can do. But the move into local online news has created pressure for commercial services that rely on digital audiences to survive. And in rural areas like mine, resilience has to be part of the conversation. When the BBC begins to ask whether or not it is time to switch off digital broadcasting, because digital connectivity is almost universal, I would invite them to visit places like Kane in my constituency, where residents are still waiting for FM radio to reach them, a technology first introduced by the BBC in the 1950s. Grassroots competition should not be feared. Many talented journalists who faced redundancy are using platforms like Substack to genuinely build local alternatives. They will become the next generation of local media. Government has a procurement role too. Our advertising and procurement choices should reward those who are genuinely investing in local reporting. Yet that commitment is not always clear. Reach's recent redundancies, including a Stirling Observer reporter with nearly 30 years of experience, or STV's shocking plans for significant redundancies in the north of Scotland, show how fragile the ecosystem has become. Public money should support organisations that maintain real journalistic capacity, whether that is a long-standing local title rooted in its community or an experienced local journalist building a new platform. Chair, a healthy, sustainable and independent local media sector is not a luxury. It is part of the democratic infrastructure of our country. I welcome the Government's plans for a local media strategy, and I'd be grateful if the Minister could update us on how that work is developing. Because we should support local media and we should invest in it. If we lose it, we will miss it more than we can ever imagine.